Have you ever felt like your hard work was overlooked? Like someone else is thriving while you're just tired? In this week's message, we meet Martha and Mary again, but not in the way you learned in Sunday school. There's a legend that Martha once faced a dragon, and you know what? That story just might help us name the dragons we're facing today. If you've ever wrestled with comparison, burnout, or the feeling of being unseen, this sermon is for you. Let's explore how Jesus meets us in the kitchen, in the wilderness, and even in the parking lot of another church. Stick around, because this story has a word of hope just for you.
So there's a story that you probably have never heard in Sunday school. After Jesus rose from the dead and ascended into heaven, tradition says that Martha and Mary, that Martha and that Mary, traveled together, preaching the gospel. But they didn't just walk from village to village, handing out tracts or shouting with bullhorns. According to a legend from the Middle Ages, Martha ended up in southern France in a little town plagued by a dragon. And what did she do? She tamed it. That's right, Martha, the same woman who once bustled around the kitchen while her sister sat at Jesus' feet, took her broom and her bravery and became a dragon slayer. And Mary, she started a monastery deep in the wilderness, a place of prayer and study. Now, whether or not you believe that Martha really fought dragons, the legend tells us something that we need to hear today. Martha's service and Mary's stillness were both paths of discipleship or ways of following Jesus. Both mattered. Both made room for Jesus. So when we return to the original story in Luke's gospel, we don't have to pick a side. We don't need to crown a better sister. But maybe the question is, who didn't get it right? But what does faithfulness look like in this moment, in this life, in this season? And what might Jesus be saying to us when we are distracted, overworked, or feeling overlooked? Because here's what I've learned. Martha's dragon isn't just a medieval legend. It's alive and well in 2025. A pastor, a friend of mine, told me this story the other day. He stood in the St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church parking lot last month, watching people go out after their community dinner. Young families, lively teens, his friend Julia, radiant as she locked up. And I'll confess that, he said, I felt that old dragon claw at my throat. Just 2 years ago, he had presided regularly at one of their midweek services when they had no priest. Their sanctuary echoed with 40 faithful souls, but now it's bustling with 90. Julia, a gifted pastor and his dear friend, is leading a renaissance. But as he drove back and passed the Lutheran cemetery towards their aging steeple, the beast whispered, Lord, don't you care? I've poured 12 years into this soil. Why does their field flourish while ours feels bare? And in that moment, my friend met Martha's dragon. The same dragon that breathed fire in that parking lot had been prowling around kitchens for centuries. You just heard it in our gospel reading. Did you catch it? Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her to help me. Sound familiar? Because Martha's complaint echoes exactly what my friend whispered in that parking lot. Lord, don't you care? It's the same dragon, the one that convinces us that our faithful service is unseen, unvalued, unfair. There he was, a modern-day Martha, standing in someone else's success, wrestling with the same beast that had Martha bustling around her kitchen 2,000 years ago. The dragon of comparison, the dragon of why them and not me. The dragon that makes us question whether God really sees our faithful work. But here's the gospel truth. Jesus doesn't scold Martha's service. He slays her dragon. Martha, Martha, he says, tender as a parent waking a child from a nightmare. You are worried about many things, but only one thing is needed. He doesn't say Mary's better. He says, your distraction is devouring you. Look at me. That day in France, Martha could only slay that scaly beast because Jesus first slew the one in her kitchen. And so today we name our dragons. The jealousy when St. Andrew's thrives. The shame when our numbers dwindle. The voice whispering, why them? Why not us? And we let Jesus speak. Only one thing is needed. Jesus isn't scolding Martha. He's offering a wake-up call so that she can see his presence, so that she can sit in Jesus' presence with her. She's trying to prepare the meal, but she doesn't get to enjoy it. This isn't about an activity or the younger sister being carefree. This is Mary showing the posture of being with Jesus, giving him her undivided attention. Jesus didn't slay Martha's dragon to shame her. He freed her for greater things. That same woman who once fumed over dirty dishes would later stand before a physical dragon, holy water in hand, because she finally learned to wield her true weapon, undivided focus on Jesus. And that's our invitation today, to slay dragons together, not with brooms or holy water, but with the sword that Jesus placed in Martha's hands and now places in ours. Only one thing is needed. So how do we, St. Andrew's friends, Lutheran saints, Marthas and Marys, fight this dragon? 3 ways. First, bless your Mary. When Martha left that kitchen and was free of comparison, she didn't resent Mary's stillness. She made space for it. The same woman who once snapped, "Tell her to help me," later ended up championing her sister's call to prayer. We can do the same thing. If someone's life looks lighter than yours, say, "God, thank you for their joy." If comparison hisses like a snake, pray, "God, bless their calling and secure mine." Martha's broom became a weapon when she learned that holy work never requires diminishing others. Second, own your Martha. When Jesus told Martha only one thing is needed, he wasn't dismissing her work. He was sanctifying it. He was saying, your service is holy when it follows from me instead of comparison. Did you know that our endurance here at Peace Lutheran is our superpower? It's us showing up when the world says we're irrelevant. It's holding space for grieving neighbors when flashy programs move on. It's being the church that outlasts trends because we're rooted in Christ. Churches like St. Andrew's may have the energy of Mary's sitting, but we embody Martha's "I'll keep the feast going." Both are needed. Our portion isn't lesser, it's life-giving. Third, wield the one thing sword daily. Martha's French dragon didn't fall with one blow. She continued to fight it daily, and so should we. Maybe we can ask ourselves every morning, Jesus, what's my one thing today? If you're like Martha, follow it up with, is this for you or my own ego? If you're like Mary, ask, does my stillness bless or judge? And if neither fit, try, will I get lost in their field, or will I tend my own holy ground? Friends, this prayer is power. It helps us cut through distractions and makes our regular work feel more meaningful. You don't have to choose between Martha and Mary. You get to be both. You get to serve and sit. You get to work and worship. You get to fight dragons and find stillness. Martha never stopped serving after Jesus spoke those words to her. She just learned to serve from a different place, not from comparison or anxiety, but from love. And Mary didn't stay seated forever. Tradition says she preached boldly alongside her sister. The medieval legend got something right. Both sisters became dragon slayers. Both learned that faithfulness isn't about perfection, it's about presence. It's about showing up to your calling and saying, Jesus, here I am. What's the one thing you need from me today? And when that dragon whispers its ancient lie, Lord, don't you care? You have your answer ready. Yes, he does. He cares and loves us so much that he gave me exactly what I need for this moment, this work, this holy ground where I stand. My pastor friend, he's still serving that Lutheran church with the aging steeple. But now he knows something Martha learned in the French village. Dragons fall not when we fight them with comparison, but when we face them with the one thing, our undivided attention to Jesus. And that's enough. That has always been enough.
That's this week's episode of Peace Lutheran Sermons podcast. Don't forget to join us next week for another episode. Thank you for listening.